So today we are talking about Gary Vaynerchuk, who is so much more than a motivational speaker. Gary Vaynerchuk, also known as Gary V on the internet, is a serial entrepreneur, public speaker, investor, sports agent, a marketing genius, and so much more. He is widely known for his content on both YouTube and Instagram, and sometimes Twitter, that spreads motivation and inspiration, as well as practical advice, which he has earned the credibility to do so by building his dad's wine store into an online liquor powerhouse, early investing in Uber, Snapchat, Twitter, Tumblr. Today, running a multi-$100 million marketing business called VaynerMedia, as well as so many other things. Much of the advice he gives surrounds the ideas of hustle, practicality, and what he describes as eating
24 months of eating to be able to eat caviar for the rest of your life.
To add on to all of that, he really emphasizes the idea of enjoying the process of whatever growth phase you're going through.
Young entrepreneur, let me tell you something from old entrepreneur, which is I love the process of the work. I love the grind. I love the climb. You know, I love the idea of getting to buying the jets more so than buying the jets. It's the process.
Though these ideas seem like basic entrepreneurial hoopla on the surface, I believe personally, people fail to realize the spiritual undertone that Gary's message provides, which is often overlooked because of the nature in which he lives his life. In recent years, Gary has caught a lot of backlash for supposedly igniting what's known as hustle culture. But from my point of view, hustle is not the entirety of Gary's message. And without context, it can obviously seem very off-putting to be just told to grind and hustle until success falls into your lap one day, which you earned through grinding and hustling. I want to explain why the underlying message that Gary shares online is going to change society for years to come.
So two quick things. Number one, this tweet about eating out and caught a lot of people's attention and thought I'd expand on it. I just am surprised by how many of you don't realize that the leverage in the world is always the thing that is less obvious to the masses, meaning giving is a better strategy than taking over the long term. Eating and taking it and being the bigger man and woman in every situation, which is really my definition of eating, is something I do every day. Every day, 95% of the time, I have the leverage, but I don't use it. And to me, that is leadership. To me, that's playing the long game. To me, that's building relationship. To me, that's building confidence. To me, that's a million different things that I think a lot of people misunderstand, and is the thing that really separates the winners from the losers, in my opinion, in society.
Gary has said on many occasions that he primarily just wants people to be happy. And that's what motivates him to be the public speaker and public figure that he is. He, seemingly unlike most people in his position, defines success as internal happiness rather than fame, wealth, and all the other stuff that comes with being a CEO. For some, that may mean having a normal job or just like a stable living and a family. For him, that means being an entrepreneur, working 15-hour days, and growing businesses on a super high level. And his ability to do all that is what makes him such an outlier. It's what makes him and his lifestyle almost unattainable to most people. He doesn't pin one definition of success on anybody.
There's so many people I know that make $40,000 a year and love life, and so many people I know that have 40 million in the bank and hate life. And everybody's saying like, cool, I'll take my chances, I'll be 40 million. I get it. But guess what? That's what the 40 million person's saying too. Like, damn, I wish I wasn't born into this trust fund. People aren't listening. And so eventually we're gonna start analyzing mental happiness, right, and everything is gonna start changing. And the reason I talk about materialistic things, it is the Band-Aid and the makeup of unhappiness for 95%. The other 5% just genuinely have the money and love camouflage and love that designer and just like, they're a very artistic person, cool. But man, stuff is makeup and Band-Aids for unhappiness.
And this is where the spiritual, almost Eastern philosophy undertone of Gary's message really starts to come into play. Gary is a philosopher of life who conducts his life on the internet and from his C-suite in Manhattan, in an American society that makes it really easy for thieves, narcissists, corrupt politicians, etc. to make it to the top. Gary is telling people that true happiness is what true success is, and by leading with happiness and truth, that's how you'll get to the top. He says that this stuff can all be found through self-awareness, being present in the process, minimizing your expenses, changing your outlook to one of gratitude, holding yourself accountable, and living your truth. Gary's practical and humble message of what success is follower by follower, changing the narrative of what true success is and means. Happiness, living your truth, doing what's best for you, creating your own path. And it's coming from a man who every day sees the traditional definition of what success is. Money, fame, being in the top 1%, the CEO lifestyle that we stereotypically hear about. And despite all of this, he still is able to practice exactly what he's preaching. And that's what's made him so successful.
I don't think you need to find a niche. I think your niche is that you are that human being.
Yeah.
Football, After Effects, small town kid.
Yeah.
I'm sure 17 other things you haven't told me yet.
Yeah.
Your niche is you, the human.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, oh, I need a niche, which actually means I need to stay narrow in something and just talk about football.
Yeah.
That's the reverse. You need to be as broad as possible, but fully you, which becomes your niche. That's me.
Yeah.
I talk about, the Jets. I talk about sports cards. I talk about wine.
Yeah.
I talk about business, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm not a niche, I'm broad as
Yeah.
My niche is that I'm Gary.
Yeah.
That's your niche.
By putting out over 100 pieces of content per day through his podcast, through his YouTube channel, through Instagram, through Twitter, whatever you can find, Gary is slowly putting out a message that is going to change the way we look at entrepreneurship and success for decades to come. Stay tuned for next week's episode, where we're going to dive deep into the true definition of success, which is going to follow up very nicely with this episode.